Good day, guys. Welcome to another game review. Today we're looking at Lindores Abbey Rapid Challenge, the 15 plus 10 second online tournament that is hosted as part of the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour this year. Got a good lineup of a game ahead. It is the online phenom Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura versus who's called the Minister of Defense, Sergey Karjakin. So let's jump into things and have a look at the game. C4 by Naka, and Karjakin responded with knight f6, knight c3, e5, and then Naka went with knight f3. So this is a normal 4 knights version of the English opening. This is a line that I've seen Hikaru playing online quite a couple of times. He goes for this Botvinnik type of pawn structure with the d2 pawn going to d3, holding the center strong, and just developing his pieces normally. Sometimes we can expect a march of the h pawn, which has seemed to become more and more popular at the elite level these days. So let's have a look at the continuation. Black played bishop b4, d3, d6, a3, just kicking the bishop back. The bishop is probably better on c5 than it would have been capturing the knight on c3. There's an argument that it is just an improved square. On the other hand, the bishop does lose some tempos or tempi by moving back to c5. So there's an upside, but there's also a downside. White gets a lot of activity on the queen side very quickly with b4, bishop b6, knight a4, bishop g4, knight takes b6, a takes b6, and simply bishop b2. Just to point out that bishop b2 is important because, as you can see, this rook is gunning down the a file. This rook on a1 is not protected. So if bishop b2 does not get played, the knight can simply take d4, and if white recaptures, the rook is hanging on a1. Therefore bishop b2 is sort of an obligatory move in order to not lose material. So bishop b2, knight to d7. This usually prepares some f5 moves to gain some space and activity on the king side. Naka continued with bishop e2, and now h5. Now h5 is a new move. This is definitely not the first time that Nakamura has played this position for white. I would just like to point out that there was a game which he played against Sam Sevion from the US in St. Louis in 2019. You guys can just do a database search and have a look at that game. I'm just going to quickly show you guys, instead of h5, Sam played castles. Naka then went h3, bishop takes f, bishop takes f, and knight to d4. Naka castled, knight takes f3 check, queen takes f3, queen g5, rook a e1, knight b8, d4, knight c6, d takes e, and Naka ended up winning this position quite comfortably. So please do yourselves a favor, just do a database search, you will find this game between Nakamura and Sevion in St. Louis 2019. Instead, Karjakin chose to rather play h5, gain some space, and secure this sort of outpost for the bishop on g4. So white castled, queen f6, knight e1, simply saying let's exchange these light squared bishops and perhaps prepare a move like f4 and get this f file open for activity on the rook. At the same point, it should be noted that this bishop is now, with the queen on f6, an excellent job of pressing the pawn on e5. So Karjakin decided to take the bishop on e2, queen takes, knight d4, simply to the outpost, bishop takes d4, e takes d4. The position has consolidated quite a bit with all these exchanges, but it's clear to see that white has slightly more space. Black has the open A file, which is probably advantageous, but there's a lot of activity with the potential moves like f4. So just from an advantage point of view, I would say this is by no means completely winning for white as yet, but there's definitely the positional advantages of activity, which black does not necessarily have. And to get any activity here for black might take a couple of moves. White has already castled, black is yet to castle, choose which open files they're going to work on, and this will take time. So let's see what happened. Naka continued with f4, immediately starting to press with these pawns and perhaps gaining some advantage there. c5, knight f3. Naka's just saying, I'm putting my pieces on better squares, I'm coming towards the center. I'm now threatening moves like e5. And this forced Karjakin to act very quickly by taking the pawn on f4. Obviously, this is not a pawn sacrifice because white can just recapture the pawn on d4. And it should be noted that there is a covered attack on the f4 queen. So this knight on d4 cannot be taken. So the game continued, queen e5, knight b5, castles, rook a e1, g6, queen f2, king g7, and rook e3. Just the rook left, trying to get some activity with the rook along the f3 or the g3 files and diagonals. Rook a4, queen d2, queen e7, d4, king h7, rook ef3, doubling the rooks on the f file, king g8, and knight c3. So just to explain to you as well that if it seems like this pawn on a3 is free, but if you take the pawn on a3, the knight hops into d5, which attacks the queen. The queen is forced to move, but this rook is also attacking the a3 rook, a double attack, which forces black to lose one of the two pieces. So that is why the pawn on a3 should not be taken. Therefore, Karjakin chose to go all the way back to a8. Knight hops into d5, and queen h4, rook f4, and by this time white has a commendable lead. The activity of white's pieces is just overwhelming. This knight on d7 is very active. Both these rooks are on a strong open file, while the pieces are just left defending or waiting for better days. So I just would like to point out that queen d8 was played, but I just would like to point out what happens, for example, if a move like queen g5 was played, because in this position you can see there's only two squares for this queen to move to, which is g5 and 7. We just remove these other green bars. Okay, so there's only two main squares for this queen to move to. It's g5 and d8. All other squares would immediately drop the piece. So I was considering both these options when I was analyzing this position, and I'd just like to point out how dangerous it is to play queen g5 and why the only right move is queen d8. So if queen g5 got played, then there's this tactic knight c7, attacking this rook on a8, asking the rook where to move to. Let's say the rook moved to b8, for example. Doesn't really matter where it goes. It should find a safe square and go there. Then there's this knight e6 move, absolutely destroying the position and destroying the game, leaving Karjakin absolutely lost in this position. The point is that this knight is now attacking the f8 piece, the rook on f8 and the queen on g5 at the same time. And the big issue is f takes e is not possible because of the discovered check with the rook takes f8, opens up this diagonal, forces the king into check. The rook has to recapture, and the queen just gets taken off the board on g5, leaving black absolutely lost. So very tricky and a lot of tactics in this position. Karjakin made the right move and went to d8 instead. Queen f2, f6, queen g3, and white is clearly winning after king h7. There's a finish blow here with e5, complete deflection, giving the pawn, picking up the pawn on f6, and the big argument is after rook e8 that rook f7 will force a checkmate, and this is where Karjakin decided to resign. Just to explain a little bit about what is happening here is if the knight does take on f7, then the rook will recapture. If the king, for example, goes to g8, then there's a checkmate with queen takes g6, king h8, and queen h7. If we just go back to the check again, if the king decides to go to h8, for example, there's always a move like queen c3 check. After king g8, there's a checkmate. Any piece that would stop the check will just get taken off the board, so leading to a checkmate as well. Let's go back to this position. If the king goes and chooses to go to, for example, h6, there should be a checkmate with something like queen f4. The queen goes to g5. You can always pick up the queen. I'm just playing rook h7, forcing the king to take and picking up the queen for free on g5. So as you can see, regardless of what black chooses here, they will get into trouble. And if, for example, the king goes to g8 immediately, queen just takes, king h8 and queen h7 checkmate. And that is how Nakamura destroyed Sergey Karjakin in the Rapid Challenge. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, and we will be sure to keep you up to date with everything that is happening in the world of chess. Please go to our channel, watch the other videos. Hope you like it, enjoy. Hope to see you soon.